Hello my beautiful friends, it's Amanda here, and you know I'm excited for a new ColourPop and KathleenLights collaboration. Today we're talking all about the new ZODIAC collection. I purchased the entire set on launch day and I did have trouble getting through the website, but the shipping was surprisingly really fast. I can't believe I already have it here. So I did get all of the pieces from the collection. I didn't order the PR kit. They had like a PR box bundle that came in this big cool PR looking box. Then they also had the entire collection without the PR box. That one was a little bit less expensive and I did save a few bucks. The ZODIAC collection bundle was 59 bucks, so I only saved $3 by buying the bundle, but I'll take it. $3 saved is $3 earned. As I go through all the products, I'll just give you the individual prices, but keep in mind if you're interested in all or most of these, you do have the bundle option as well. The ZODIAC collection consists of course, a pressed powder palette, 2 Luxe lipsticks, 2 Super Shock cheek highlighters, and 2 Supernova eyeshadows. I'm gonna give you all of the info on these products and I'll also do some little demos as we go along. Swatches and a quick eyeshadow tutorial using the palette. I had a lot of fun with this tutorial, but we'll get to that at the end. Let's start with the Supernova eyeshadows first because I actually didn't use them today. The Supernova shadows are priced at $7 each. These are a metallic liquid eyeshadow. They come in this really beautiful special packaging. It's dark blue and it has all of these metallic rose gold accents. I love the packaging design for this collection. I'm not really into astrology, but I am into this packaging. The eyeshadow containers also have special packaging for this collection. So we're seeing those rose gold starry details on the actual eyeshadow component itself. The applicator is a flat and flexible doe foot. The 2 shades in these Supernova shadows are a really pretty pale super metallic rose gold called Constellation and a bright greenish yellow super metallic shade called Astrology. As soon as I took these shades out of their containers, my first thought was these look like a supernova version of 2 of my favorite KathleenLights and ColourPop Super Shock shadows, Weenie and Telepathy. So I grabbed those Super Shocks. Let's just swatch them side by side with the Supernovas and see if my intuition is correct. So we're gonna compare Weenie to Constellation and then Telepathy to Astrology. Weenie's definitely more reddish, but Astrology and Telepathy are like the same shade. Next, let's talk about the Super Shock cheek highlighters. Again, we have 2 shades and these are priced at $8 a piece. The box for the cheek products as well as the box for the palette are black with rose gold detailing, but these highlighters have the same size and shape ColourPop screw top lid that keeps this product nice and bouncy and delicious. But this time the pot is coming in a deep blue and the ColourPop logo is done in rose gold. Again, huge fan of this packaging. The shade on the cusp is a pale pinky meets champagne type of shade, whereas Fire is sort of a medium coppery, almost orangey type of shade. I actually used both of these in my look today. I took just a tiny bit of Fire since this one is too deep for me to use as a highlighter. I patted it on my cheeks in between where I would put my bronzer and my highlighter, almost like a glowy blush, and I just blended that out with my fingertips. Then I applied on the cusp like I would a typical Super Shock highlighter. I used my fingertips to pat it on, build it up, and blend it out. I love this formula for highlighting. It manages to be really, really bright and impactful, but it's not so crazy that it looks super fake and photoshopped or just weird on the face. The creamy texture blends right into my skin. I really, really love this shade on the cusp. If you are fair, light, or maybe even light medium skin toned, then On the Cusp is going to be a great highlighting shade for you. And if you're more of the medium tan to deep skin tones, then the shade Fire will probably work better for you. Let's talk about the Luxe lipsticks from the ZODIAC collection now. Again, we're seeing 2 shades. These are $7 a piece. They have the same dark blue with rose gold metallic detailing packaging that the Supernova shadows had, but the Luxe lipsticks have a really cool detail on their packaging that I really enjoy. There's a little constellation that spells out Luxe. I think that is so stinking cute. The actual component itself looks just like all the other Luxe lipsticks from ColourPop from their permanent line. Rose gold with little stars. Their existing component fits perfectly with this collection, so I'm glad they saved us as consumers the money and just used the components that they already have. The 2 shades are called What's Your Sign? This is a pale brownish pink nude shade on me. And then we have Scorpio Moon, which is this really beautiful pinky berry shade. I'm shocked at how much I love this one because I thought for sure the nude shade would be my favorite. I love a nude lip. I think it goes perfectly with my look, and I find Scorpio Moon, at least with the 2 lipsticks I got, Scorpio Moon is just a little bit creamier and smoother going on. What's Your Sign was just a tiny bit drier. Maybe those are just the ones that I got, but that's my experience so far. Last, but certainly not least, this is what we're all here for, right? This is the ZODIAC palette. The outer cardboard carton has a black background with all the rose gold metallic details, little stars, constellation pictures, and then the shade names are listed on the back of the box. When we look at the actual palette, this one is the dark blue background, same detailing here. The palette is made of a lightweight cardboard, but it has this finish on it that's a soft touch matte, sort of like what NARS packaging feels like. It feels really luxurious, and I think it's really nice, even nicer than I expected. This palette is priced at $18, but we are getting a mirror in this palette, which is something that does not typically come in the ColourPop pressed eyeshadow palettes. All the shade names are listed on the back, but they're also listed inside next to their corresponding shades. I love this. This is something I always complain about in palettes. I love having the shade names right next to the shades so that I know what I'm using, whether I'm following along with a tutorial, whether I'm sharing the shades with you guys here in my own videos. I just like that detail, and I'm glad that they listened to their customers and put the shade names in here as well as this mirror. It is the same size and shape as their other palettes. Again, we have a little magnetic clasp closure. There are 12 shades in here. I love this color scheme. I know a lot of people are saying that the palette doesn't feel cohesive to them. When these shades are all swatched out together, I do think they feel cohesive. If it was more cohesive, then everybody would just say it was boring anyway. I want to just throw this out here. I think that at first glance this palette looks kind of haphazard, but try this. When you cover up half the palette, here is a beautiful, useful color story for you right here. Cover up the other half of the palette, same sort of deal. We're getting this really cool toned, really beautiful color story with a mix of finishes. Very, very useful. So if you're feeling overwhelmed by this palette's layout, then you can just cover up half and you see it really kind of takes the guesswork out. I'm gonna go through all the shades individually while I swatch them. I will be doing both finger and brush swatches for each shade. The shadows will be swatched on the back of my hand with no primer, just right onto my skin. Finger swatches will be on top, and then the brush swatches will be below. For my brush swatches, I'll be using my e.l.f. flat eyeshadow brush, and I'll clean the brush off in between each shade using my Veramona color switch. Here are the swatches of the first half of the palette. Just to remind you, these are the finger swatches, and these are with a brush. First, we have a metallic orange called the Aries. This one feels quite dry in the pan compared to the other shimmers in this palette and in other ColourPop palettes for that matter. It still looks really pretty, it just has a much drier texture than the other shadows I'm used to. Next is a warm matte brown called the Taurus. This true metallic gold shade is the Gemini. Next, we have a shimmery pale pink. This one is the Cancer. Then a gold to orange metallic, the Leo. And lastly, a really dark neutral matte brown. This one is the Virgo. This is the second half of the palette. We're starting with the Libra. This is a soft mauve pink in a satin finish. Next is the Scorpio, a shimmering reddish purple. Then we have a matte purple. This is the Sagittarius. Next is the Capricorn. This is a super deep dark matte black with a ton of golden glitters. The Aquarius is a bright blue matte shade. Lastly, we have the Pisces, which is a super glittery metallic teal shade. Now that you've seen the swatches, I want to jump into the eyeshadow tutorial using this palette. I did something a little bit different for this tutorial. Typically, I just dive into a palette and use whichever shades call to me. But I thought it would be fun to find my immediate family members' zodiac signs and then use all of my family's shades in this palette. I thought that would be a good way to sort of mix it up and maybe get outside of my comfort zone with a palette. As you can see from the eyeshadow I'm wearing, I didn't end up getting a very crazy mix of colors like I expected to. I'm not very into astrology and zodiac signs and things like that, so I actually had to look up my family members' signs, and I discovered that a lot of my family members have the same zodiac sign. This is a really fun challenge, so if you get this palette, I recommend that you try it because I had a good time with this. I kind of wish that we had some more of the crazy colors in here, but this is what we came up with. My husband and my youngest sister both have the Taurus sign. Then my niece, my middle sister's daughter, is a Cancer, which I love this shade, so I'm so glad that I got to use it. My dad, my middle sister, and my son are all Libras. My mom is a Scorpio, and I am a Sagittarius. So definitely not the craziest color palette, but it is pretty interesting how all of the shades from my family member signs ended up working together so cohesively. I'm definitely gonna try this challenge again using my in-law family and my extended family and just see what kind of color combinations I come up with. So let's get into the tutorial now, and I'll wrap up all my thoughts on this palette at the end. Like always, I'm starting off by priming my eyelids with my favorite eye base. It's the MAC Pro Longwear Paint Pot in the shade Painterly. Then I'm going to set my eye base using a little bit of powder. This is the MAC Studio Water Weight Powder. Just a light dusting of that on top. Now it's time to get into the Zodiac palette. First, I'm using this shade called the Libra. This is a satin finish, and typically I prefer mattes as my transition shade, but this one works so beautifully in the crease. Then I'm adding the Sagittarius on a small fluffy brush to the outermost part of my eyelid. Then for my all over lid color, I'm taking the Scorpio and applying that with my fingertip all over my lid, but leaving the very inner part of my lid blank. I wanted to add a little bit more drama, so I'm just packing a bit more Sagittarius onto the outer part and into the outer crease. Then using the Libra to blend all of those shades together and make sure everything looks nice and smooth. For my lower lash line, I'm taking the shade the Taurus, and I'm using a small dense flat brush to apply that all along my lower lash line. And to finish off my eyes, I'm using the shade the Cancer on my pinky finger on the inner corner and inner part of my lid. Then I curled my lashes and added some L'Oreal Lash Paradise mascara, and this is the finished look. I love the way this turned out. It's really interesting, but super easy to do and very wearable. Overall, I'm definitely a fan of this palette. I've already said I love the packaging. I really like some of the updates that they made as far as adding the shade names inside, adding the mirror. All of that really, really works for me. I love the color scheme. I do think it's inspiring. I'm glad that it's not more cohesive because I think it might be just a little bit boring if some of these brighter, like crazier pops of color were not in here. I think it's fun to work with this color scheme. There's a lot of different shades and finishes, so you can get a ton of looks from this palette. I mentioned before looking at half and half of the palette, but you can also look at this as quads. So like these 4 shades or these 4, these 4, these 4. You see what I'm saying? You can kind of look at the groups and they look really beautiful together. It makes it super easy to put together a cohesive look from this palette. My only complaints are I did find 3 of these shades were not the easiest to work with. I mentioned in the swatches that I found the Leo to be a little bit dry. It still performed really well with a finger and with a brush. It still looks really beautiful. It just takes more building up and it doesn't have that super soft, like luxurious shimmer shadow feeling that the other shimmers in this palette do. The other 2 shades that I just didn't feel super excited about performance-wise are the Sagittarius, sadly, which is my sign, and the Aquarius. I thought that both of these were quite dry and took a lot more building up, whereas the other mattes in here are super, super pigmented, blend out really beautifully, and don't require a lot of work. I feel like I've had that same problem with dark purples in other ColourPop palettes. I am wearing the Sagittarius today, and I think it looks really nice on the eye. It's just not quite as good as the other mattes in here, the Taurus and the Virgo. Super, super easy to work with. Kind of the same deal with the Aquarius. It's just a little bit drier feeling, a little bit patchier. So definitely not terrible eyeshadows by any means, just not quite as good performance-wise as the other shades in this palette or other ColourPop palettes that I've tried. All in all, I think this collection is really beautiful. It's definitely true to Kathleen. It's something different for ColourPop, particularly the palette. I've really enjoyed everything so far. I know I'm gonna continue to love and use these things. Even the liquid eyeshadows, which typically aren't really my favorite item of makeup. If I had to pick my absolute top favorite things, of course the palette. You know I'm crazy for my ColourPop palettes. This one is beautiful and definitely inspiring color-wise. The highlighter in On the Cusp is so freaking gorgeous. I keep getting distracted by my own highlighter today, so that's when you know it's really, really good. And lastly, kind of surprise favorite is the Luxe lipstick in Scorpio Moon. I do love the Luxe lipstick formula. I've talked about it many times on my channel, but I really thought I would love the nude shade, What's Your Sign? And I just am crazy about this beautiful berry shade. This shade's gonna look so pretty on so many skin tones. I also think that I might like it extra because it really suits my eye look today. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Did you order it? Are you just going crazy for it like I am? Leave a comment and let me know what you think. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye. Super shock, super shock. Okay, my hair's driving me crazy. That's all. Sometimes ColourPop is cheeky like that. Just my opinion, maybe that's not for everybody, but here we are. Tauruses. My arm actually gets tired and it only takes me like 2 minutes. That's sad. So purpley. Purpley. Okay, I cannot wait to get this hair pulled back. Got a little tail. I mean, this highlighter is just so gorgeous. Ooh, blind you with my cheekbones. Okay, I gotta quit messing around. I got another video to film. Bye-bye.